What is your daughter's metric of beautiful and successful and actually significance? It's a really important question because we live in a world that adores perfection as the metric for being accepted, for being significant. And so, as a mom, you need to understand how this word perfection is so damaging, okay, for our children's psychology, that it affects their emotion and it affects their biochemistry, and it actually affects their spiritual life, our journey towards, our creator, right? Because without understanding that the metric, and how this metric is actually affecting our children, we could have created a culture where the only way you're going to get accepted in the world if you act, look, think perfect, right? This flawless idea that we show in social media that people are kind of retaliating against because there's no such thing as perfection. So as a mom, you need to know and attack that word head on and know, sweetie, let's not use that word perfection because it's the way it's used in culture and your friends are using it. It's actually not accurate. That's what I say. So in our house, we don't use that perfection, which means that you're not using that word either. You're not saying, oh, that was so imperfect. Oh, I just totally didn't do that right. That looks perfect, sweetie. No. So all that language is so powerful because words become flesh. The words that we use actually manage our belief system. They actually lay the foundation how we view the world. And so if you can just eliminate the word perfection as a metric towards some form of some form of significance, then you can probably eliminate some of the drama that your daughters are going to walk into. So when they're 12 and 13, they can go up to their friends and they can say, listen, when you think about perfect, you think that it's really flawless, which means that we could never make a mistake. And if what makes me important is that I can never make a mistake, well, that's kind of what is it called? That's kind of a unrealistic expectation. Your 13-year-old daughter can absolutely have that script. So can your 8-year-old. And I have a 10-year-old and I have a 9-year-old right now. And I tell them, say, train your mind to remember that progress is the goal and not perfection. So when they're working and they're like, oh, I totally messed up, mom. Well, it's progress over perfection. What can you learn from it? And you just fail a lot, try a lot. And that's how you're actually going to do something amazing. Just like Thomas Edison failed, hundreds of times before he was able to do the light bulb. So when you understand that, how damaging this word is, and you make sure that that becomes not how they are loved, or that they are more important when they do things perfectly, or that when they get an A, they get more appreciation than when they get a D. It should be that, I appreciate that you worked hard and you got an A. That's in direct proportion of your ability to actually work harder, or that somehow, you were able to focus on that test that you got an A, but I love you no more or less, whether you're A or B, but I applaud your hard work. Distinctions are so key as a mom. You need to know where and how to make these distinctions by the language that you're using and the language that you're not using, right? And so remember that your children are fighting against a world that's expecting them to be perfect in order to be appreciated, accepted, and acknowledged. However, it's also important to know that being accepted, being acknowledged, and being appreciated is actually part of them feeling that's evidence for them knowing that they're valuable. But it should not be the metric. Perfection should not be the metric of how they're going to be more significant. And that's how you need to create that distinction for them, that they're important regardless of their imperfection, that the metric of beauty is not flawlessness, rather our ability to contribute and inspire the world to be better. That's what I tell my children. What makes you beautiful? Your ability to inspire other people to be better. That's what makes someone beautiful. The external, it's just bonus. It helps people see, present ourselves. It's a presentation skill. That's actually what I call, physically presenting ourselves is a skill that's important for us to contribute to other people, but it does not define us or make us less beautiful or more beautiful. It's a form of contribution. Fashion is a form of contribution. Presenting ourselves as a form of contribution. It is not, and by any means, change our metric of being worthy. And that's how you need to talk to your daughter, so that they're prepared to actually talk to themselves and make sure that they can manage the world that they're going to walk out of, and that defines perfection as a means to actually draw attention, right? And also use it and abuse it in the social media world, where now they're looking at something and they're defining themselves as imperfect, and just in their mind alone feeling so inadequate and unworthy. So we don't really have a choice but to equip them now, because the world has shifted massively. If we're not equipping them now, we're walking them to a life of anxiety, stress, and overwhelm, because they need to know how to manage their mind and have the skill to actually protect their worth. And that's what we're going to do in the Women's School. Is really, I'm on a mission. We are on a mission collaboratively to shift a whole generation of women that doubt who they are. Therefore, they don't show up fully because they've been told that their worth is subjective to what everyone else thinks and what the society thinks. That needs to change, because unless that change, we're not going to actually solve the anxiety, the stress, the overwhelm crisis that women are going through right now. It needs to shift. And it begins with you training your daughter so that they become the woman that's going to lead the charge.